So the first question we get asked a lot is, does size matter? Now, soil samplers come in multiple sizes. This one here does a 0 to 15 centimeter core. This one here is what we use in the research world, and it's a fair bit bigger. Now, current thinking is that the best place to start is with some gear you've got, and move towards greater depths as you go. So a 0 to 15 centimeter sample or a 0 to 30 centimeter sample is probably enough to get cracking this season. These samplers here are easily available from most of the labs. You can get them through Hill Labs and off different lab supply websites in New Zealand. Real accessible, and a key thing about them is push it in with your foot. Don't have to bend over, so you save your back. Right, so once you've got your soil sampler, there's two more pieces of high-tech equipment that you'll need to get stuck into soil sampling. The first is a bucket, 99 cents, I assume. If you're paying any more, you're not getting a deal. And the second is a chili bin. If you don't already have a chili bin, I feel sorry for you. But one of the key things with soil samples, especially for nitrogen, is they need to be kept cold. If they get warm, then we get more nitrogen in the test result than what the plants will see. So looking after your soil samples is the best way to get the best results. So the second question we get is, how many samples should I take per block? And it will depend on the size of the block. Current guidance is probably that 1 sample per hectare is around about enough. More is better. But in a block like this, which is around about 10 hectares, 15 samples in a zigzag shape should get you there. In terms of where we're at in our cropping cycle, we're just coming out of our winter crop and we haven't spread fertilizer for 4 weeks. So we've got a lot of maneuverability in where we sample. Key thing when you're sampling, avoid where fertilizer's been placed. So once the maize is in the ground, try not to sample on the starter line, for example. And now I'll just walk through and show you what that looks like. Magic. So far, we've now collected our soil sample. As you can see, it's a bucket full of magic in there. And what we want to do now is actually get it ready to send to the lab. Now you'll be able to see, hopefully, that what we've actually got in here is now a bucket full of individual cores like that. And interestingly enough, the labs, when they take your soil, they're not going to look at that whole bucket load, all right? One thing we want to do is make sure we give them a really nicely mixed sample, and that way we're going to reduce the variability in our test results. So best thing to do is just get your hands dirty. Feel free to wear gloves if you're a little bit soil phobic, but you break up those cores, give it a really good mix around. Have a look at the structure, have a look at the quality of the soil while you're doing this too. Half the joy of soil sampling is actually getting to walk your land and understand how it's doing prior to planting. So break that up until it becomes kind of a nice tilth like that, you can see. And then what you want to do is give it a bit of a twirl. You don't have to say any magic words, but if you want to, you can. And then just pop it in a bag. Now you can get bags from the lab themselves, or any old Sealy sandwich bag will do too. Typically, sending them the whole soil sample will be fine, and if you're asking for more than one thing on your lab results, the more soil the better at the end. One key thing is you want to mark the bag with your block number, and the other trick is actually put a tag inside the bag too, just in case the number rubs off. Lab results aren't cheap, so spending a little bit of extra time to get good results is worth it. Now, as soon as you've got that test sample ready, you want to get it somewhere cold. Now for us, we've got a chili bin here with some chili pads in it, and I'm going to put that straight in there. The general rule is that you could keep that sample in the fridge for up to about 3 days before it gets to the lab. If it's going to take you longer than 3 days to get to the lab, freeze it. And when you get to the lab, knock on the door, let them know you got a sample. The reason is, if the temperature changes, your results will change. And what you want to know is what your plants are going to see. So you need to make sure you put a lot of effort in with your sampling so you get good results and you can make good decisions. Right, now the next part to get on top of, which won't take you long, is one of the most important bits. It's the paperwork. A lot of times growers get their soil sampled and they come to me with the results that they don't really know what they mean. So by ticking the right boxes, you get the right information to make your decisions. Now, as an example today, I just want to talk about soil nitrogen. Real simple, might be new for some of you. There's 2 boxes that we typically tick in a maize system. One is the mineral nitrogen box. You can see that here. Hopefully I'll give you a close-up kind of run through of what this looks like too. That is actually just a test that tells you how much nitrogen is in the ground on this very day, just as I sampled before. So how much nitrogen, 0 to 15 centimeters across that block we just sampled. The next one, which is also really important, is to get an estimate of mineralization. Now the new test that we've been using is the potentially mineralizable nitrogen test. Luckily that box is right next to the mineral N box. So we can do 2 ticks on that one sample, just like that. And then with those 2 ticks, we know we're going to get a measure of what we've got in the ground, and we've got some information that will allow us to estimate what we'll get over the growing season. So by putting those 2 bits of information together, we can make a really smart nitrogen fert decision, regardless of whether we're putting all our fert up front at planting or whether we're splitting it across side dress and starter. So a great place to start. You can do both those tests a few months out. We're August now. August, September, great time to do these tests, and gives you time to actually look at the information and make a decision. If you're unsure about what boxes to tick, we've got heaps of information on the FAR website, but also you can just give us a call anytime or call the lab you're submitting your sample to. Let them know what you're trying to assess and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. But by getting the right ticks in the right boxes, you'll save yourself a whole lot of money and you'll have better data to make better decisions.